King Jesus, King Jesus. I want to talk about a problem that nobody seems to be talking about in the news or anywhere with these cops killing all type of people, attacking all type of people. You know, it's occurred to me that these guys are on steroids and experiencing steroid rage. A lot of them. Not only are they on steroids, but they're on antidepressants too. The type of antidepressants that make you want to kill people. I mean, they're in a depressing job when you have to clean up dead bodies and deal with scumbag people. You're gonna be depressed, and the depression medicines, a lot of them make you homicidal and suicidal. A lot of police kill themselves, but the cops on steroids is really something that nobody's addressing. I think every police officer that kills somebody or involved in a shooting should be tested for steroids. And it should come out whether the officer is on antidepressant drugs or not. In Men's Magazine, they had an article called Cops on Steroids. Let me read a little bit of it to you. It's called Juices in Blue, Cops on Steroids. Juices in Blue, Cops on Steroids. Officer Jimmy knew his steroid use was paying off when one day the Ohio policeman needed to wrestle a suspect to the ground and the guy crumbled like a piece of wet cardboard. For Kevin, a military policeman, his steroid epiphany came as he was throwing a rowdy patron out of a Southern California bar. Kevin grabbed the guy by his belt and yanked him right out of his chair. He landed about 2 feet behind me, he remembers. Former Suffolk County, New York officer Tom Foley had a steroid moment of a different sort when, while vacationing in LA, he was pumping iron at Muscle Beach with a vision of his idol Arnold dancing in his head, and spectators started taking his picture. It was unbelievable, Foley exclaimed with a bashful smile. Just call them Juices in Blue. With their rippling physiques and flair for battling bad guys, they call to mind the Flesh and Blood Justice League, or at least a casting call for Van Damme movies. And these men are hardly isolated examples. Cops have long been a hush-hush subset of anabolic steroid users, says Pennsylvania State University sports science professor Charles Yasalis, science doctorate, author of The Steroid Game. Most of the police officers I've known who have used these drugs consider them a tool of the trade. So this is the culture that these cops are in, where steroid use is pretty much a common occurrence among cops. You might think probably the majority are using them, even the ones that don't pump weight. So this is something that it should be a law against. Cops should be screened whenever there's a violent confrontation as to whether or not they're on steroids and experiencing steroid rage, or whether or not they're on antidepressants that cause you to commit homicide. So this is something I wanted to discuss and see what everybody else think about this, because look like it's encouraged by the system that they work in too, because there's no real enforcement of any rules against it. They're just set free to use steroid drugs and antidepressants without any kind of intervention. So let me know what you think about this.